When are you going to keep your promise? What's that? I didn't immediately see what she was getting at. Ah, I remembered. She wanted to sleep with me. But I thought that was a joke. Maybe I was wrong? Once we all get settled into our new houses, we'll see. She suddenly leaned in closer and whispered into my ear, I'll be waiting. I shivered. Oh, damn it. She was weird. Everything okay? Igor's voice echoed from up front. Yeah. Olivia's trying to rape Andrew, said Alyssa, who was sitting on the other side of Olivia. Besides Alyssa, Olivia, Igor, and Makota, we also had Alex, a shooter, who was sniping any particularly assertive zombies while leaning out of our sunroof, Philip, the shapeshifter, who was currently driving, and Bao, master of the whip. Oh, yeah, and I also forgot about Masha and her clothing monster. Our 4 Cybertrucks stopped in the courtyard of a 3-story apartment building. The noobs hopped out of the cars and headed off to clean out the courtyard, while the more experienced people stood and watched. We'd barely get any experience for these weak zombies anyway. When everything was clear, we got down to the task at hand, the rescue operation. Me and the crew fell into line. In front went Igor with his shield, then Makota and Olivia as the main strike force. On the flanks were Bao and Philip. Alyssa and I were in the center, and Masha and Alex brought up the rear. We examined the building. It was old, probably built in the previous century. A few windows were broken, and there were traces of blood. Forward, I ordered. We moved toward the entrance. The story of the mom and her kids was fairly tragic. She'd had to live through all the horrors of the apocalypse for the sake of her kids. She'd had to kill her own brother at the outset when he turned into a zombie, and take command of a little unit comprising her surviving neighbors. Just 10 people, and only one of them had any abilities. A young guy, level 5, with a rare skill, fire crystal. Not bad, but that was about all I could say. We had plenty of people in our group at that level. The problem started when they tried to get out onto the roof. Hell was breaking loose down below, and they didn't have another way out. But they ran into a mutated spider and barely made it to the shelter of the nearest apartment. Once there, they shut themselves inside. The spider turned out to be at level 15, and if it hadn't been busy eating a mutated bird that it had caught when they'd found it, none of them would probably have survived. The mom, at least, had become one of the very small percentage of people who were gifted, and who got a silver class. But her level was very low, and she hadn't really learned to play to her strengths yet. We opened the door at the entrance, and Igor walked in, holding his shield tightly in one hand, his hammer in the other. Makota was right behind him, ready at any moment to spring into action. I sent 2 of the flying drones in right away, the littlest ones I could find, which were made to look like hornets. We stopped in front of the stairs leading up to the 2nd floor, looking tensely at Masha's tablet. The scene that unfolded wasn't a pretty one. The whole of the 3rd floor was enveloped in cobwebs. 2 of the 4 doors had been broken down. The other 2 were still intact. The mutant itself hung in the middle of the place, a body about the size of a German shepherd, with 8 arms sticking out of its sides. We waited in silence. May was busy concocting the optimal possible plan for taking out this nasty beast. Preferably, it would be one where I got to deal the main damage and inflict the final blow. Our analyst's soft, lovely voice flowed into my ears. I think your best bet is to kill this thing using bloody fog. It'll be dangerous to fight close quarters, since we don't know anything about this spider's abilities or the way it might react. The location is also pretty inconvenient, since the spider's in its element. There could be casualties. That's why we're going with Plan B. I gave an imperturbable nod. Plan B it is, then. Was I ashamed to be choosing this option? Not at all. I'd thought up Plan B so I could be the one to kill the spider all on my own, and I'd get all the experience. Might this annoy some of the others? Who the hell knows? We moved out of the apartment building. Really, we'd only gone into the place to take a look at the spider using our drones. From there, the operation itself would start. I flew up on my throne to a window that had been opened beforehand from within. A woman of about 30 was there, holding her children pressed against herself and looking at me with a mixture of worry, hope, and a little bit of fear. She had brown hair pulled back behind her head, an athletic build.